This happened 2 years ago, on Easter Sunday. I was living alone in a small rental house just outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. My life was kind of falling apart at the time. My dad had passed away a few months before, and I had just gone through a nasty breakup. I was 29, broke, and depressed. I did not have it in me to drive down to Maryland to be with my mom and brother that Easter, so I stayed home. That day was quiet for me. I did not have any plans, and barely any food in the fridge. Around noon, I decided to walk to the gas station nearby and pick up something cheap to eat, microwave burritos or something like that. On my way back, I noticed a guy walking a few yards behind me. It was nothing unusual, but something about him stuck with me. He was wearing all black, hoodie, pants, even gloves, and it was warmer out that day, maybe low 70s. He had his hood up and kept his head down. I turned onto my street, and he kept walking straight, so I figured I was just being paranoid. I got home, ate, and sat on the couch watching random YouTube videos for a while. I was dozing off when I heard it, a faint tapping at the back of my house. My kitchen window faces a small yard, and then a line of woods. The sound was light, like someone brushing their fingers along the glass. I stood up and peeked through the curtains. I did not see anybody. I figured maybe a branch was loose, or a bird flew into the window or something like that. I went outside to check, and did not see anything out of place. I went back inside, locked everything up, and tried to forget about it. A few hours later, around 8 p.m., I was in my room playing music when I heard my front door knob rattle. Not like the wind or anything. This was deliberate. I paused the music and just stood there, waiting. Then I heard one knock, just one. I did not move. I did not even breathe. And after maybe a minute, I crept to the front window and peeked out through the blinds. No one was on the porch, but then I noticed something weird. My motion sensor porch light hadn't turned on. That only happens if someone stands completely still when approaching, or if they somehow disabled it. I started getting that gut feeling that something was really wrong. I did not call the cops because technically nothing had happened. I just felt unsettled. I double-checked the locks again and went back to my room, door locked, and sat there with a kitchen knife on the bed next to me. I must have fallen asleep at some point, but I jolted awake around 2:30 a.m. Something had made a noise in the living room. It was a distinct clinking noise, like glass or ceramic. I got up, slowly opened the door, and tiptoed down the hallway. My living room was dark, except for the street light filtering in through the windows. That's when I saw it. The front door was open. Not all the way, but just cracked, maybe an inch or two. Just enough to see that the deadbolt was still out, as if someone had unlocked the bottom lock, but didn't or couldn't turn the deadbolt. My heart dropped. I always lock both of them. On the floor, a few feet away from the door, was an Easter egg. One of those cheap plastic ones you can buy in bulk. It was bright pink. I just stared at it for a second. It hadn't been there earlier. I hadn't bought any. I don't even like Easter. I grabbed the knife, kicked the door shut, locked it again, and immediately called the cops. They took a while to arrive, about 25 minutes to be exact, and by then, whoever it was most likely gone. They did not find signs of forced entry, but they agreed that it was strange and advised me to stay somewhere else for the night. I ended up crashing at a coworker's place. The cops did not do much after that, though. I filed a report, but there were no leads. The next morning, when I went back to grab some clothes, I noticed something that still messes with me. I walked around the house to double-check everything, and found 4 more Easter eggs. One by the back steps, one near the shed, one under the kitchen window, and one placed carefully on the hood of my car. All of them were empty. I moved out 2 weeks later. I never found out who it was or what they wanted, and I honestly don't think it was anything good. What haunts me most is how quiet it all was. There was no smashing windows, no loud bangs, just someone playing games while I was alone and vulnerable. Easter used to be a peaceful day for me. Not that I really enjoyed it anyway, but you get the point. Now, every year when it comes around, I keep every light on and stay with friends. Thank you for reading this. You can share it if you want. Just don't use my real name. This happened to me 3 years ago. It was Easter Sunday. I hadn't planned on going to church that day, but I did it for my mom. We'd lost my dad 6 months earlier, and it was the first holiday since the funeral. I hadn't been sleeping much, barely eating, and honestly, I did not want to see anyone. But I figured it was easier just to go along with it than to hear my mom cry about it later. The service was fine, I guess. I barely paid attention. I sat in the back pew and left before most people had even stood up to shake hands. My mom had already gone ahead to my aunt's house for the Easter party, so I drove myself. I remember feeling this weird heaviness in my chest, like I was holding my breath the whole time I was in that building. It was about noon when I left the church. The lot was nearly empty, just a couple of older cars scattered around. I had to walk a little further than usual since the main lot was full when I arrived. As I got closer to my car, I noticed someone across the street, standing on the sidewalk facing the church. It was a guy, or at least I think it was a guy, wearing a bunny costume, but not the cute kind you see in malls. This one looked dirty. The white fur was matted and gray in some places. The face was off too. One eye was bigger than the other, and the mouth was kind of torn on one side, exposing jagged plastic teeth underneath. It did not look like a cheap store costume. It looked handmade in a bad way. At first, I thought it was someone trying to be funny, or maybe promoting something, but they were just standing there, not really moving, not waving anything, just staring. I got in my car and really tried not to think about it. I drove 30 minutes to my aunt's place, which is in a small neighborhood outside of the town. There's nothing but fields for miles before you reach her street. I did not see any cars behind me the whole way there. When I pulled up, I parked on the block since the driveway and curb were already packed with my relatives' cars. My cousins were running around the front yard in these dresses and suits, plastic eggs in their hands. I waved to my cousins and headed inside. I wish the story ended there, but it doesn't. An hour into the party, I stepped out to get some air. Too many people, too many questions. Everyone asking how I was holding up like I wouldn't break in front of the fruit tray. I needed to be alone for a minute, so I walked down the block toward my car. I wasn't going to leave, I just needed a quiet spot. That's when I saw him again, the bunny costume. And it was standing on the sidewalk, 2 houses down from my car, behind a parked SUV, and just peeking out from the back of it, still watching me. I froze. No one else seemed to notice him. I looked back at the house. Everyone was distracted, talking or eating. I turned back, and the bunny was gone. I scanned around and did not see anything. I walked faster back to the house and shut the door behind me. I did not tell anyone. I wasn't even sure I believed what I saw. Later that day, after most of the family had left, I said my goodbyes and walked back to my car again. I looked around carefully, half expecting to see the costume pop out again, but the street was quiet. I got in and locked the doors. About 10 minutes into the drive home, I saw headlights appear behind me. Normal at first, I figured someone else was leaving the party, but the car did not pass me, even though I was going just under the speed limit. It stayed a few car lengths behind the whole way. I switched lanes a couple of times, so did they. I took a few random turns, and they followed. Eventually, I pulled into a gas station and parked by the entrance where people were coming and going. The car that had been behind me slowed down, but kept driving. It was an older white sedan with a missing hubcap on the front passenger wheel. I waited at the gas station for almost an hour before I drove home. I did not sleep that night. Every sound outside had me on edge. I left all the lights on. Around 3 a.m, I finally passed out on the couch. The next day I checked my car. Nothing out of place, but in my mailbox there was a note with an Easter egg sticker on it. I opened it. The note said, "You look better when you smile." That's it. I reported it to the police, and they took it seriously enough to send a cruiser by a few nights in a row, but they never found anyone. No cameras caught the car's plate. Nothing was ever proven. I even considered maybe it was some sick joke by someone I knew, but no one has ever admitted anything. To this day, I have no idea who was behind that mask or what they wanted. But every Easter, I still check my mailbox before I go to sleep, just in case. This happened Easter Sunday, 2019. At the time, I was going through a rough patch mentally. I had quit a job that was slowly killing me inside, and nothing else seemed to stick. I was in therapy, trying meds, journaling, doing all the right things, but I still woke up most days feeling like I was swimming through concrete. That Easter, I told myself I'd try to be present and enjoy it. My mom hosted a family get-together every year, and even though I didn't feel like going, I forced myself to show up. It was one of those typical family Easters. Cheap decorations, pastel everything, kids running around like crazy. My niece and nephew did an egg hunt in the yard. My mom had stuffed a bunch of plastic eggs with candy and quarters. Some had dollar bills in them. She bought one of those big packs from Walmart. Purple, green, blue, and yellow eggs, all the same style. She made a list of how many she put out so we know when they found them all. I think it was something like 47 eggs. I remember because she complained about how the wind kept blowing the empty ones away while she was setting them up. Anyway, the day went fine. We ate, talked, and took a bunch of family photos out front. It was the most I smiled in a long time, even if I felt like I was faking it half the time. After everyone had left and the yard was cleaned up, I stayed back and helped my mom with the dishes. That's when it happened. She stepped outside to take the trash out and called me to the front porch. There, sitting right on the edge of the steps, was a yellow plastic egg. Same kind as the others. It hadn't been there earlier when we were all out front taking pictures. We both figured it had rolled into the bushes during the hunt and just now got blown out by the wind. She picked it up and shook it. It rattled like something solid was inside, not candy or coins. She popped it open right there. It was a ring, a silver ring with a square diamond on it. It looked expensive, not the kind of thing you put in a kid's egg. At first we laughed, thinking maybe someone was planning to propose and hid it as a joke. But nobody at the party was even dating, let alone engaged. We started texting everyone to ask if they lost a ring or had any idea where it came from. but nobody claimed it. That night, my mom posted a photo of it on Facebook. Just something like, "Found this ring and an Easter egg on our porch today. If anyone lost it or knows whose it is, please reach out." The next day, a guy messaged her. He said the ring looked exactly like his fiance's. She had been missing for over a week. He asked if he could come by and see it. We thought maybe it was a coincidence, but he showed up with a photo of her wearing it. Same ring, no doubt about it. My mom called the police right after he left. They took the egg and the ring as evidence. A detective came back later to question all of us who had been at the party. We gave our statements, but none of us had seen or heard anything unusual. The egg looked identical to the rest of them. Same color, same shape, no markings. We asked the cops how the ring could have ended up in the egg on our front steps. They said they did not know. They couldn't prove anyone at the party put it there, and no one had a criminal record or any connection to the missing girl. The guy said she disappeared after going to a grocery store near where we lived, but there was no surveillance footage showing where she went after that. They ran forensics and confirmed the ring did indeed belong to her. But that's all we ever heard. No arrests, no suspects. She was never found. Every year since, Easter really does feel weird. We don't do big get-togethers anymore. Just quiet dinners now. I really do think about it sometimes, though. About how I was trying to crawl out of my own mental hole that day. And then this thing happened. I don't know if someone was trying to play a sick game or trying to send a message. Maybe the person who took her knew we'd find it and wanted it that way. Or maybe it was some horrible coincidence. I don't know. I probably never will. All I know is that ring wasn't there earlier in the day. Someone put it there, and whoever did, they've never been caught.